please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
On the show this week, we take you through the many concepts showcased at the 45th Tokyo Motor Show. All the high-speed action from this year's edition of the Maruti Suzuki Raid the Himalaya. And we drive Honda's hydrogen fuel cell powered. Well, it's the 45th edition of the Tokyo Motor Show. Do enjoy the sights and sounds. The 45th edition of the Tokyo Motor Show was all about showcasing futuristic concepts, new innovations, and the boon of autonomous technologies. This year's motor show didn't have much on display in terms of production vehicles coming our way, but of concepts there were plenty.
Remember this cute little white hatchback concept from the Frankfurt Motor Show? It's the Honda Urban EV concept. In fact, we even put this cute little thing on the subscriber cover of the October issue of OVERDRIVE. Now, Honda is expanding this lineup. This is something like the Volkswagen ID lineup of cars. With that, I mean it's not just electric vehicles, but Honda is actually looking at a completely new ecosystem for its electric lineup. That means there'll be wall chargers, charging stations, and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, that little thing that you see there, it's the sport EV concept that is based on the same underpinnings as the urban EV. However, this one sits lower, has a wider track, and should be a completely fun car. Now, Honda hasn't really revealed much details about the oily bits, or should I say the electric bits. However, we are sure that this car is certainly entering production. They are going to look at a production version of this for the European market. And it goes without saying that the Sport EV concept too will enter production and should be one of the little compact sports cars that Honda loves to make. It should be a fun car. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to come to India anytime soon, but we hope to drive it at some point of time.
Honda has also unveiled its newest generation Goldwing at the Tokyo Motor Show. Now this is Honda's full-size cruiser powered by an 1800cc horizontally opposed 6-cylinder engine. It comes mated to either a 6-speed conventional gearbox or a 7-speed automatic or 7-speed DCT as Honda likes to call it. One of the biggest features on this motorcycle is the new double wishbone front suspension, which Honda claims improves handling, offers better front-end feel, and improves stability of the motorcycle as well. Another aspect is the fact that the motorcycle is now more compact and lighter in weight by up to almost 40 kilos, which is a huge gain for a motorcycle like this. This is the Tour version, which comes with a taller windscreen and a trunk at the rear, which also acts as an armrest and a backrest for the pillion rider. And considering the fact that the previous generation Goldwing was sold in India at about 30 lakh rupees ex-showroom, we feel that this motorcycle could make it to our shows as well.
At the Yamaha stall, what really caught our fancy, like most of the motor show, was wacky concepts on display. Garnering a lot of attention at the stall was the Yamaha Motoroid concept that boasts artificial intelligence and can not only communicate but also interacts with its rider. The Motoroid concept's design is as radical as it gets. There's a lot of carbon fiber all around, and racing slicks from Bridgestone certainly hint at the concept's sporty aspirations. What appear like shiny aluminium cans of energy drinks from a distance are actually lithium-ion battery packs that power the Yamaha Motoroid concept. Yamaha says the Motoroid concept will adapt to various riding styles and even adjust the motorcycle to suit the rider better. A bizarre concept showcased at the Yamaha stall was the Niken, a large leaning multi-wheel concept. It has a wide front face that is part sports bike and part quad fender and comes powered with a water-cooled inline 3-cylinder engine with 4 valves. Yamaha claims that the LMW setup results in a sense of stability when cornering irrespective of changing road surfaces.
At the 2015 Tokyo Motor Show, we began the show with Suzuki's Ignis, a model that actually ended up coming to India. This year, however, there are no production models that are really worth looking forward to apart from the Swift Sport maybe. But the showstopper for Suzuki is what stands behind me, the e-Survivor concept. Now, as you can see, it is a preview towards an off-road vehicle. It's quite a compact off-road vehicle, a 4x4 in that sense. It is ready for an electric drivetrain. It's also ready for autonomous driving technologies. It's got some clever bits, like on the inside you have this holographic globe that actually shows you what is the terrain that you're going to drive on, how the vehicle is aligned and all those things, and it really looks cool. In fact, the overall design of this vehicle looks quite cool, and Suzuki says it's actually going to head into production. It could be a part of the Jimny lineup, and I really hope that Suzuki India or Maruti Suzuki really starts looking at such fun products for the Indian market as well. So as and when this goes into production, I would really like to see it in the Indian market too.
This is the GSX 250R, Suzuki's take on the hugely popular quarter-litre motorcycle segment. Now, the GSX 250R belongs to the same family as the Gixxer 1000 as it is known popularly, and it boasts the same heritage, same legacy and sporty handling as its elder siblings do. It comes powered by a 250cc parallel twin engine that makes about 24 PS of power. We do not have any confirmation whether this bike is coming to India yet, though we think this will be a good motorcycle for Suzuki to enter the quarter-litre space in India. Suzuki has showcased the SV650X, a cafe racer version of its popular middleweight Naked, the SV650, here at the Tokyo Motorshow. Now, the SV650 does well for Suzuki in European markets and is powered by a V-twin liquid-cooled 645cc engine that offers 75 PS of power. There is no confirmation whether this bike will come to India, but we do think Suzuki should offer this motorcycle in the Indian market. Now, this is another motorcycle that we think Suzuki should bring to India, the V-Strom 250. Given the fact that adventure tourers are hugely popular in the country at the moment, we think this bike has a lot of potential to do well in the Indian market. It is a 250cc motorcycle, comes powered by the same parallel twin 250cc engine as the GSX 250R, which means it will be easy for a new rider to adapt to and start riding, going adventure touring, because that is something that's gaining a lot of popularity in the country, and it may not get wire-spoke wheels, come with alloy wheels, which means it is road biased, but you do get panniers with this motorcycle, which means it is definitely good for touring. Of course, there's a screen up front, and there's about 24 PS of power from the parallel twin 250cc engine, which should be good as an entry-level adventure tourer.
Kawasaki's entry-level Super Sport has undergone a major change. What you see behind me is the Ninja 250. This is the new Ninja 400. Essentially, they draw design inspiration from the new Ninja 1000 and the Ninja ZX-10R. The Ninja 400 gets LED headlamps and position lamps and wears sportier graphics too. The bike employs a steel trellis frame, while 41mm forks at the front and a monoshock at the rear take care of the suspension. Compared to the Ninja 300, both these bikes are lighter by up to 5 kilos. Both the bikes also come equipped with anti-lock brakes. And the engines, well, quite powerful for their class. The 250, it puts out 39 PS of power and about 23.5 Newton meters of torque. The 400, 45 PS of power and about 38 Newton meters of torque. Something that is certainly going to be fun on and off the racetrack. And this is the bike that I would like to see in India very soon. Kawasaki has a lot of expertise of building fast nakeds, and that is evident in the Z lineup of motorcycles that are sold in the country. We also have a rich heritage with the Z lineup itself. In fact, it was the lineup that gave birth to these kind of motorcycles. And then modern retros, that's the need of the hour. So Kawasaki has literally combined all these three and given us this. This is the Z900 RS, their take on the modern retro motorcycles of today. So modern retro it is in terms of its design. It has some modern touches as well. The LED headlamps, some parts that look like they've been finished or made out of billet aluminium. And then you have the classic styling theme, one that resonates from the early 70s or the 80s. Overall, I think it looks beautiful. Powering this bike is a 4-cylinder 948cc engine, puts out about 111 PS of power, which is fed to the rear wheels via 6-speed manual transmission, and then you have a 180 section rear tire, a 120 front. I think this bike has a lot of potential even for our market.
At the Toyota stall, the TJ Cruiser concept was unveiled just ahead of the Tokyo Motor Show. The concept is based on an advanced version of the Toyota new global architecture platform and will go into production based on public response at the Motor Show. India is highly likely on the list of countries that Japan will export the TJ Cruiser to. Of course, in due course, the SUV will be made here as well. Coming up, all the action from this year's Rate the Himalaya. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, Rate the Himalaya is one of the most grueling rally raids in the world. It's simply because the drivers and the riders not only have to tackle one of the most challenging terrains, but they also have to cross through mountain passes which are very, very high. They have to deal with altitude sickness, fatigue, and despite all of these conditions, year on year, the number of participants in this particular raid is simply astounding. So here's all the action from the 2017 Maruti Suzuki Rate the Himalaya. The 19th edition of the cross-country rally was flagged off from Manali earlier this month.
We have competition number 1, 2, 6 in the adventure category. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, all the way.
The route set for leg 1 took competitors around 200 kilometers to Kaza in Spiti Valley via Gramfu and Losar. The most rough stretch was the 76-kilometer competitive section, which was very tricky and took a toll on both the competitors and their vehicles. In fact, after leg 2, which took competitors back the same way towards Pang, a majority of the competitors dropped out due to vehicle damage. Storming their way past all odds though was Suresh Rana and PVS Murthy in their Maruti Grand Vitara, who managed to build up a 20-minute lead ahead of Sanjay Razdan and Karan Aukta. In the motor class, while TVS Racing's R. Natraj was 1 minute 31 seconds ahead of Tanveer. One of the highlights for Maruti Suzuki this year was the introduction of their new team, Maruti Suzuki Motorsport. While Maruti Suzuki did always compete at the raid, this year the team received a full revamp with a new logo and new blue and silver livery that set them apart from all the other vehicles at the raid. Another important move for the team was the introduction of 3 of their newest cars to the extreme category: the Vitara Brezza, the S-Cross and the Peppy Ignis. Apart from these, the team also ran a Grand Vitara and a Gypsy. The Vitara Brezza, driven by Dhrampal Jangra and Abhishek Sultan, were in the top 3 for a significant portion of the rally, while the S-Cross, driven by Sandeep Sharma and Karan Arya, managed to finish in 6th place when even modified Gypsies broke down. Leg 3 of the rally, which began from Pang, took competitors towards Leh with a detour at Debring for the competitive section. The 53-kilometer stage, which went up to Daat, was quite fast, with comparatively smoother terrain, but to make matters worse, the morning chills made the task of driving a lot more challenging. The second half of the leg brought competitors back to Debring before moving to Leh. Suresh Rana's lead was only increasing as it went up to around 33 minutes. Tanveer meanwhile managed to make good time on these stages, taking a 4-minute lead ahead of Natraj. For the next leg, the competitors made their way to Kargil for 2 competitive stages from Sanku to Dras and back. The stages had narrow roads going up steep mountains, leaving no room for error. Suresh Rana continued to extend his lead over Razdan, and by the 5th leg, only 28 of the 69 competitors remained in the competition. The final leg hosted just 1 competitive stage from Dras to Sanku before bringing everyone back to Leh. Rana finished first with a 51-minute lead ahead of Razdan, while Sanjay Agarwal and co-driver Smita N finished third. In the motor class, Tanveer finished with a 3-minute lead ahead of Natraj, and TVS Racing's Rajendra Ari finished third. In the adventure category, which is held in a TST format, Rajesh Chalana and Satish Gopal Krishnan won the overall car category, while Subir Roy and Neerav Mehta won the SUV class.
Well, in case you're still hungering for some more action from the raid rally, all you have to do is head into our YouTube channel. We have 2 of the latest videos uploaded there just for you. Time for us though to shift gears and check out the latest launch, which is Land Rover's luxury SUV, the Discovery.
Land Rover's all-new Discovery was unveiled in India at 71.38 lakh rupees for the 3-litre Petrol S model and 82.21 lakh rupees for the range starter Diesel S variant. The SUV is based on the company's premium lightweight architecture, which means it is 480 kgs lighter than the previous generation model. While the styling might appeal to the new age customers, the existing enthusiasts might find the change a bit too much. This car will be offered with a 5- and 7-seater configuration. It will also come with a new 10-inch infotainment system with Android and iOS connectivity. The SUV is offered with a 3-litre petrol and diesel engine, both mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Deliveries of the Discovery will start from this month. However, the company has already started accepting bookings for the all-new premium SUV in India.
Well, up till now, we've brought you all the highlights from the 2017 Tokyo Motor Show. We've also brought you all the action from the Maruti Suzuki Raid the Himalaya. And you've also seen the latest luxury SUV that has been launched in the country. But after this break, we will bring you Honda's hydrogen fuel cell powered car, the Clarity. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, increasingly the automobile giants in the industry are experimenting with various alternate as well as sustainable options for the future of our mobility. And one such auto giant, of course, is Honda Cars. Now, recently they flew us to Japan to one of their test beds, which is the Twin Ring Motegi circuit in Japan, to sample one of their latest innovations. Take a look.
Pollution has been clouding our country to alarming levels, and that also gives rise to a need for a more sustainable, more eco-friendly mobility solution. Not the kind of mobility solution that I am on right now, but maybe something that shows a little more promise. Now, one of the technologies that we could look at is hydrogen fuel cell. And Honda, in fact, has been kind enough to bring us to Tokyo in Japan to give us a foretaste of what this technology brings to the table. Take a look.
And that is because Honda has over 20 years of experience of building hydrogen fuel cell powered cars, and their demonstration for us was courtesy of their latest offering, the Clarity. It may come across as an Accord of the future, but this car is already on sale in certain markets. Hydrogen fuel cell vehicles are essentially electric vehicles that use an onboard generator to create electricity instead of using a conventional plug-in charger. Hydrogen is stored at the back of the car in large tanks made of tough materials like carbon fiber. It is then passed through a fuel cell which creates a reaction between the pure hydrogen and atmospheric oxygen to create water vapor and electricity. The fuel cells give these cars their FCV nomenclature, while the electricity they generate is used to power the electric motors. The whole process is discrete.
This car doesn't feel very different from the kind of cars that you and I have been driving all this while. It feels like a typical electric car. It has that spooky silence in the cabin that you experience with electric cars. And then it also has that instantaneous supply of torque as and when you step on the gas. The Clarity also feels quite light on its feet despite having this hybrid fuel cell technology and all the battery pack and the electric motors. It doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't feel bogged down by any sort of weight. It actually feels quite light on its feet.
Unlike a hybrid powertrain, there aren't multiple sources of motivation. Until the fuel cells come up to speed, a small lithium-ion battery pack stored in the front seats acts as a buffer and gets the car rolling. The fuel cell mechanism and the electric drivetrain are now compact enough to fit into a bay ideal for the typical Honda V6 powertrain. That liberates plenty of space inside the cabin for ferrying 4 adults and a kid in comfort. The hydrogen tanks do eat up a little bit into the boot space. The technology is certainly not cheaper than EVs, and with long-range EVs expected to become the norm in the coming decade, hydrogen fuel cell technology will have a lot to contend with. But to its advantage, these FCVs can do over 700 kilometers on a full tank, which means refueling intervals aren't going to be very different than fossil fuel-powered vehicles, and that also reduces range anxiety. However, hydrogen refilling stations aren't anywhere close in number to EV charging stations, pushing car makers to come up with new leasing and subsidizing schemes for early adopters. The scenario doesn't seem very different from what the EVs faced when they emerged on the scene a few decades ago. While predicting a future winner between EV and FCV technology would be difficult at this point of time, given the infrastructure and economical changes involved, it would be safe to say that the FCVs seem like the most sustainable option.
The Indian authorities have already hinted that they would like to see only electric cars being on sale by the year 2030. Now that also means that there will be a lot of burden on the grid. There will be a lot of infrastructure that will need to be set up to handle this burden of charging all these electric vehicles. So in that scheme of things, I think the hydrogen fuel cell technology looks like a more viable option. Of course, fuel cell vehicles as of now look like a more pricey alternative, but the long lineup of fuel cell vehicles that are gaining popularity all across the global markets only hints that this technology could actually end up getting cheaper in the next decade.
Well, that's it then from us on this week's episode of Overdrive. But before we go, earlier this week we did drive the all-new Ford EcoSport. But just to know what we think about the car, you will have to check out that review on our YouTube channel. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and thanks for watching.